Good evening and a very warm welcome to Radio and Television Tonga news package for the hour. Making headlines, registration of candidates for Tongatapu 4, 6 and 7 by election will open on the 5th of September. Government of Japan committed 3 Crown Aid projects aimed to improve the waste management and water supply system while extending the nationwide early warning system in Tonga. And Elder Nuku'alofa, the leader of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the Pacific area, passed away at age 64. Now for the stories in detail. The Electoral Commission has confirmed that candidate registration for the Tongatapu 4, 6 and 7 constituencies by-election will open on the 5th and 6th of September. The by-elections are called due to vacant parliamentary seats for the respective electoral constituencies following the unseating of representatives by the Legislative Assembly last week. The Electoral Commission urges candidates that are hoping to register to comply with the regulations and law of the by-election, which requires proposed candidates that they shall have no prior criminal fines or offences that exceeds a punishment of 2 years imprisonment unless he or she receives a royal pardon from His Majesty the King, as stated in Clause 23 of the Constitution. The date for the by-elections to elect representatives for the people of Tongatapu 4, 6 and 7 are also confirmed for Thursday, the 3rd of November this year. The church leader of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Tonga, Elder Nuku'alofa, has died at age 64 in New Zealand on Saturday. Nuku'alofa is one of the senior leaders of the church in the Pacific area. Mark Ake with the details.
The Tongan church leader was serving as an Area 70 in the church at the time of his passing, and he had been the principal of Liahona High School before serving for 3 years in Africa with his wife Moana as leaders of the Zambia-Lusaka mission of the church. More recently, Elder Kupu was employed as leader and member support coordinator for the church in Tonga. This role led him to a pivotal position following the January 15th volcanic eruption and tsunami. He worked with government, faith, and aid groups to bring humanitarian relief to thousands of people impacted by the disaster. Since then, he worked to help Tongan families and communities rebuild their homes, villages, and livelihoods. He was also at the forefront of the church's efforts with the government and communities in responding to the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, the communication director of the church, Elder Sione confirmed to Radio Tonga News this morning that the body of Elder Nuku'alofa will be repatriated on the 22nd of this month for his funeral service.
Members of Parliament starts undertaking their annual constituencies visits today, August the 15th, till the end of this month. This is an opportunity for the legislators to speak with their electorates on issues that impact their daily lives and requires the government and Parliament's attention. Parliament's deliberation will sit in next month until the state closing in December. The government of Japan has committed 3 Crown Aid projects aimed to improve the waste management and water supply system in Tonga while extending the nationwide early warning system. The Honourable Prime Minister Huakavumi Liku and the Japanese Ambassador, His Excellency Munenaka Kensaku, signed and exchanged notes of formalizing the grant of the Crown Aid projects on Friday at the Whaonilua Convention Centre. Mark Ake with the detail.
This is for the provision of infrastructure equipment to the outer islands as part of the Tonga Water Board program, the provision of waste management equipment for the Waste Authority Limited, and supplementary assistance for the nationwide early warning system, strengthening disaster communication project under the Ministry of Medec. The Ambassador of Japan to Tonga, His Excellency Kensaku Munenaka, said during his speech that the water supply assistance is worth around $1.1 million, also under non-project grant aid. Japan will provide necessary machines and equipment to maintain and improve the water supply system in the outer islands.
I believe today's assistances are quite relevant and useful, not only for the recovery from the disaster, but also for the future development of Tonga. The first one is to Waste Authority Limited. This is under the scheme of Non-Project Grant Aid, or NPGA, and worth over 500 million Japanese yen, that is about $4 million US. We provide various machines and vehicles for improving waste management so that we could clean up rubble and debris after the disaster and also establish a better recycling system, including scrapped cars, vehicles.
The news project was supposed to be completed in August 2020. However, due to COVID-19, all the technicians had to return to Japan and the project was delayed until now. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister thanked the government of Japan for all the assistance and their continuous generous support to Tonga, including their first response with huge aid after the January devastation.
Towards the efforts to accomplish our economic and social development priorities, as well as our national recovery efforts. We heard earlier the introduction and description of the non-project grant aid for each project. Obviously, to facilitate and assist us in our recovery plan to build back better, following the aftermath of the Tonga Ha'apai volcanic eruption. Yet I also take this opportunity to recognize with much appreciation the Japanese government's substantial funding of another aid project that is coordinated by the Prime Minister's office. This is the provision of asphalt distributor trucks to assist in road construction, which are expected to arrive later this year. A genuine and generous partnership with Japan is truly welcome in our endeavors to build a more resilient and prosperous Kingdom of Tonga.
The amount of the additional fund is $1.9 million on the second edition. The first edition was provided in April last year. So although the total amount is about $25 million, there are currently around 30 Japanese technicians now working for News, and hopefully the project will be completed by this September before the next cyclone season.
And in a statement from Tonga Police, they have witnessed the increasing of cases where honest citizens and individuals fall victim into online fraudulent schemes. Mark Ake again with the details.
Police have recommended information to help the public avoid falling victim to scammers. The public is advised that scammers advertise goods online they don't have for sale, then ask for a deposit or payment before delivery of goods. The public should also be aware of fake online profiles to create romantic relationship or plea for help, as scammers typically befriend their victims, attempting to establish a romantic relationship online, or may pretend to plead for help, then manipulate victim to send money or goods or do something illegal. The public should also be cautious of phishing emails, texts, calls, and websites. Victims are advised of winning something, whether it be money or prize, but asked to pay a sum or provide bank account details to access the prize.
That wraps up this evening's news package, but before we part, here's one final look at today's top stories. Registration for candidates for Tongatapu 4, 6 and 7 by-election will open on the 5th of September. Government of Japan committed 3 Crown Aid projects aimed to improve the waste management and water supply system in Tonga while extending the nationwide early warning system. And Elder Inoke Kupu, the leader of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the Pacific area, has passed away at age 64. And that's it for tonight. Thank you for your company. I'm Paula. Good evening.